this. And I've known uh, um, people, adults and young people with autism. And I always wondered about how peer-to-peer young people can support other young people who have autism. And because our organization is Together for Resilient Youth, and we talk about how we can communicate better, and we understand that the adolescent brain doesn't fully develop until someone is 25 years old. And quite frankly, the emotions that young people have as adolescents are mad, sad, glad, mad, sad, um, and mad, sad, and glad. Yes. My point being, when it comes to empathy, it's something that young people have to learn. And that's one of the things that we stress in terms of our organization. But enough of that. And Representative Zack Hawkins, please share your heart as a
Yes.
father. Tell us, first of all,
Yeah,
about your son, and then say whatever it is you like to say.
sure. And I'm glad to take the facilitated questions, but Autism Awareness Month is one of our favorite months. Tracy and I actually have two boys, both James Preston, who is 11, and Adam, who's 9, that were diagnosed with autism. And so it happened during when I was running for office. They were both diagnosed in 2018. And so I did not know before going into elected office and the General Assembly that this was going to be an issue that I would go to hell and back for. I will advocate for my kids. I will advocate for everyone's kids, because what I'll tell you a few things. The grocery bill has not gone down. They still try to eat me out of house and home. They still ask for everything under the sun, but they just have differences, and we all have to sort of learn those differences. We've had to learn how to parent differently. We had to understand, especially when they were younger, what a tantrum was, right? Like, what is a tantrum? Why are they doing it? And, figuring out what sorts of services and opportunities made them the best. But the thing that, I advocate for every day is that I find that people with autism can do anything. We just have to set the right parameters and the right environment for them to be successful. And so we talk a lot about in our house about thriving. And we know sometimes that there are limitations, right? Sometimes our boys, Adam, is what we call more classically autistic. He had a speech delay, and is in a closed classroom, and so he's with other students who have special needs. But Adam has a light fixation, and so he can tell you what the color of any light is in our house when it's out. He has sort of things that are unique about him. And he can fix just about anything that you put in front of him. And he loves food. So he can tell you what our weekly menu is, and our traditions are for the back of his head. James Preston presents more neurotypically, but his comes out in relationship building and sort of, in social emotional learning, right? And so looking at and seeing the cues that those who in the neurotypical community would, like, you can tell when someone's trying to be funny, meaning like trying to be sarcastic. That may go past James Preston. And so there are some things that, we have to make sure that we're being attentive for on his behalf. And the thing that we really want everyone to know is, seriously, they're just like anyone else, but just like you're slightly different in who you are and what makes you special, so are they. And so my wife and I, probably, I guess it was probably in the first part of second part of our first term, we decided to go really public. And really what that has done is, because we were like, look, we can't suffer in silence. Like, we don't know what's going on. Like, of course I can call anybody, but autism doesn't care who you are, right? Those tantrums don't care who you are. And so we said we wanted to make sure not only by what we learned, but we want to make sure that we could advocate for our own kids. But there are people who are struggling every single day, trying to figure out how to parent and how to provide resources and to provide environments where their kid can just be like any other kid and have that kind of joy. And sometimes that's hard.
Mhm.
And so by sharing our story, so many people come to us and share that, I'm thinking about getting my kid diagnosed. I'm thinking about, like, this is sort of happening at school. What do you suggest we do? What are some services or some therapies that you tried? I'll tell a story before you ask your questions.
Mhm.
I would say James Preston was in kindergarten, and it was my first term. And so for probably about a couple months, Tracy and I switched days sitting in the back of his classroom because they did not know what to do. The teacher, and especially if you've been teaching for a while, you're not familiar, right? And so we had to, just to make sure that he had days and was able to get through days, we were sitting in the back of his classroom. So I'm on days that I didn't have session, I would come over and sit in his classroom, and then days where I did, my wife would be sitting in the back. And so we, sometimes what people don't understand is all the extras that have to be done by parents to make sure that their kid can survive in this world. And
Mhm.
so it is so much of a pleasure that you are doing this,
Mhm.
because it really helps families like mine
Mhm.
be seen and feel heard. And really, I think, as you mentioned when you propose this, it's allowing others to understand and to be able to be helpful too. Right. The more we understand the awareness part of Autism Awareness Month, does so much more than people realize. Because when you see someone, you're like, you recognize it and you know how to be supportive, right? You're not looking at the parent like, oh my God, you should be dragging that kid out of there, right? Or,
Mhm.
or in church where the people give you the look,
Mhm.
right? Like, it creates a more just and fair, I think, an equitable world where everybody knows that they're welcome. And that's really what, to me, the month is about. But organizations and opportunities and conversations like this really help with families like mine.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've been really inquisitive, and Crystal and Trivia know that because, there have been times when we've had personal conversations about some of the very rude ways that parents are
Oh,
treated, and it's
oh
just,
yeah.
and when we have a heart to understand and want to understand, then we can share that with other people. And so that's why it becomes so important. And we did that before Autism Awareness Month.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And
So
so
it should be every day, right?
and for parents, if parents with who live with autistic children, it is every single day, right? Every single day you are putting together a plan to figure out how this day is going to be a good day. And then sometimes, as they probably will tell you, you're gonna have days where autism gives you 4 or 5 days in one day. And so we've dealt with suspensions, right? We've dealt with it all. And so I think sometimes people are like, oh man, I know you get it. And I said, no, it again, autism does not care.
Mhm.
And we have to make sure that we're building systems and again raising awareness so that everybody can just find ways to be helpful, just like with anything else.
Mhm. So I do have three questions, and you might have already talked about some of them. So, but the first one is, as a father, what do you want communities to understand about autism?
Yeah. That it is it can be presented. It is a spectrum. First, if you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism.
Mhm.
There are some children don't speak for years, months, or years. Some it sort of shows up in sensory overload, like you can be in a loud place like church and the kids have to leave, or you see someone with earphones on. Sometimes, light sensitivities really sort of kick in. Sometimes you'll hear what we call it perseverating, but stimming, where you hear them repeat terms over and over and over again.
Mhm.
Like those sorts of things are just a part of the process. And so you may have a favorite color or a thing you really like, and so do they, right? You may have a way that you operate when you get mad, sad, or glad, as you mentioned before, and so do they, right? And so the wiring is just different, but in many ways, it really makes them incredibly special. And so you have to know that with any disability, it makes it a little tougher to navigate the world,
Mhm.
right? And so people literally, especially parents, are doing the best they can.
Mhm.
And so be kind,
Mhm.
right? Because there are things that you learn not only about them but about yourself when you engage.
Mhm.
Um, but that they're not, the R word, as people will say, right? Their abilities, like, Adam may not necessarily always be able to always articulate every single sentence, but if you ask him something, he can tell you, right? And
Mhm.
so it is making sure that people make space for learning how to operate. So, for example, in the classroom, you may
Mhm.
not necessarily be able to give them 10 sentences all at once. You may have to break it down sentence by sentence by sentence. And so it's just, I think, being aware, because people sometimes get afraid, like their children, get afraid, they shy away. And, we, with the way that the world has moved, meaning 25, 30 years ago, the world was not as integrated as it is now.
Yeah.
We have people who with autism who are graduating from law school, who are driving cars, who are with families, who are finding love, like,
Mhm.
and so that's because we have done the work
Mhm.
to become more embracive and more inclusive. I'm sorry, and to make sure that we're providing services. And so I think that's really, as a dad, like it. I'm not always. we're getting day by day, but it's also we're also thinking about the future, right? We're thinking about where will our kids find love like anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Will they be able to find jobs that will respect their intellect and their different ways of thinking? And then, where will they live, right? Like, we're
Mhm.
thinking about all these things. And so it's important that, again, people are kind, and that people, seek to understand, because we all will find that there are, issues that you have to deal with, and we want to make sure that we're, giving sort of mutual respect. But again, like I said, it doesn't change how much they eat. We still spend a lot of money at Costco, and we they like to play, they like toys, like, and so all those things still sort of find their way into childhood. It's just a different way of parenting.
Mhm. And so I have one other question for you,
Sure.
because there's a question about peers embracing their classmates and their peers with autism. And so we're going to have a discussion with the young people. So
Oh, great. Okay,
that
fantastic.
so then the question is, and then I think we have one question in the chat before we go on, but
Mhm.
what policy or community support do families need the most? And I guess one way I want to think about this has to do with schools. So
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
a policy that might be helpful, that maybe is in the works, or maybe something that's happening from the state level or the county level in
Yeah.
terms of this. What policies do you recommend, or do you see movement on, if any at all?
Yeah, so one that just happened last week is what we fully funded Medicaid for our annual sort of commitment to Medicaid every year in the state. And so Medicaid rebates, and so a lot of you who know about that, specifically, it helped to fund Medicaid in general was good for people on the autism spectrum, right? Because it provided more opportunities to get preventative care versus, care as you need it. But the other thing is it supported ABA therapy, and so ABA therapy is a therapy specific to those with autism that just helps with making sure that they can pick up on nuances. They know how to create strategies for themselves. Like those, our youngest son Adam has been through ABA, and it was very very helpful for us. And so, but what it really did was it opened the conversation to realize that, look, the reason that the budget for that became so big is because there's so many people that are diagnosed with autism,
Right.
but they don't have services.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
don't have services. And so that means we live in the land of milk and honey in Durham. But
Hmm.
if you go out to Anson County or Beaufort County or some far flung place around the state, they have to drive 2 hours one way
Hmm.
to go get services. And so it opened the conversation and said, look, guys, I can tell you, as an autism dad, if there were no other services and ABA became available, I'm taking ABA, right? And so, but what it opened the conversation is that we need more speech across North Carolina. We need more occupational therapy across North Carolina. We need all the services that support this demographic. And so I'm really excited about that. But that's a big win from last week, because we did think that some clinics were going to have to close and all that. And so we
Mhm.
dodged a bullet by
Mhm.
by funding $319 million. And so I got
Ooh,
a chance to speak on it and tell my story because I always do.
yeah.
And then so hopefully next year we can make sure we're doing it. But yeah, thank you for including me in this. This again makes my heart sing. And thank y'all so much for being willing to tell your stories
Yeah.
and to be a part of this. And young kids, I'll just say it really, 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 really simply: when you're with your peers, don't laugh.
Mm,
Don't laugh.
mm,
When I taught middle school, I saw the compassion given to a kid named Aiden by his peers. They had all sort of grown up together, and they were so patient with him when they talked to him. They understood that sometimes his speech would be delayed. They understood his little nuances, and so if you see that situation, ask your teacher how you can help, and then and I know it's a big step, but also ask your teachers how you and your classmates can show support. And
mhm,
so that goes a long, long way to building a culture because it really is about a culture because we deal with it. We have a culture at one of our kids' schools where it's like they do not appreciate and understand, and one where it is. And you
mm,
can tell the difference. And so that's what I would say to young people.
mhm.
Don't laugh. Make sure that you are kind and patient, and then ask your teacher how you can best support and understand. And I guarantee your teachers will do that every single time.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
And please stay as long as you can because I'd love for you to be. I know you have other things to do. You're very busy, but
Oh, sure.
well,
No,
you
I stay
can.
on. I have a town hall at 7, but I will stay on until
Okay.
then.
Okay. So we're going to move into, and there's a question about can someone ask a question? And I think it's Mr. David Williams. Why don't you go ahead and quickly ask your question and then we'll move ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming, Representative Hawkins. One thing I wanted to ask, well, first of all, again, my name is David Williams. My daughter was diagnosed with autism back in two. She's 5 right now. Definitely finding out as a brand new parent, you kind of don't get a lot of resources. You don't get a lot of education. And so, one thing I wanted to kind of ask is for the citizens here at Durham, what resources are available and what education is available for people that may not know about the different nuances that's going on here around Durham. Like I just put in here, I work over at NCCU, and we have a speech clinic, and which I found out because I work at NCCU. But just want to kind of see what other resources are around Durham that are available for families.
Mhm,
Yeah, no, no, glad you asked that. So, Teach in Chapel Hill is a really good place to make sure the Autism Society in North Carolina.
mhm,
The Autism Clinic at Duke is actually really, really good in making sure that they are supportive of families with autism. We have the ARC of North Carolina is an organization that we've engaged with, and these are people that, especially as you're getting in school, because she's 5, you can ask these people to go to IEP meetings with you
mhm,
because when you go when she gets enrolled you'll have to share the diagnoses or they'll go through a formal diagnoses through the school system, and once that IEP happens, like you said, you may not know it all because we did not. We still ask those people to come just to make sure we don't miss anything, and so it's a really, really big help because when they miss something they can make sure that we are in line with the school. I'll say that we're not combative, but we're in line with the way that the treatments and stuff need to go. And so that is a very, very helpful thing. And then if you would follow up, there's some autism dads groups and autism parents groups that are super helpful too. Because again, it takes an entire village. And then I had to grab my wife for that one, but I'll get the if you are looking for speech and ABA and like any of those kinds of services, those are the things that we try to make sure that both of us are giving people because you're exactly right. You do not get it is a crash course in parenting. And you figure it out as you go along, but do know that you are not alone. That was the best thing for us to find out. And yes, color of autism. Yep, Tracy knows her. Yeah,
mhm,
there's some really, really good folks out there that are sharing their story more and more. And so yeah, I'm glad to share any information that you need
mhm.
to help you.
Thank you. And I'm going to switch up a little bit. We were going to have the panel next, but I'm going to show the youth video so that Representative Hawkins can see the wonderful things that the young people are doing and what they are saying. And, when we had our session, we have monthly sessions with young people. And one of the things we talked about was bullying. And so there was a whole section on bullying and how many young people actually knew other young people with autism and how do you respond and react to them and with them. But these are two siblings. Some of the other information that you'll see is from those who are a part of the group. They will try to let me pick the right PowerPoint. Yay. Okay. So, Together for Resilient Youth is our organization, and we've been around for over 20 years, actually 25. And we have a youth coalition for young people ages 9 to 17, 18 to 24, and then adults and senior citizens. And the purpose of the organization is to deal with the challenges that individuals have in terms of trauma-informed care, chronic disease, violence. And with the students, we have a monthly meeting where we address a topic and then they respond to it in their own way. So that's what you'll see here. And LIFT, which is the name of the coalition, stands for Lead, Inspire, Flourish, and Thrive. So, one of the first things that we did was to ask all of the young people some questions about autism awareness and understanding. What do you know about it? What questions do you have? Did you know that autism is experienced on a spectrum? Do you know what this means? Have you experienced discomfort around learning about autism? A part of resilience is knowing how to engage with others. Do you know how to engage with a person with autism? So those are the questions that everybody got. And then we had a discussion about them. And Christiana, who you'll hear from in a moment, answered the questions just like all of the young people did. And there's also a learning session. So they learn the different aspects of autism and, just everything scientifically that has to do with it. And so that's just the first thing that we did. And then this is Christiana's project. So, Christiana, can you come off mute and let us know about your beautiful sibling? And this is what she wrote for her project. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. So, talk to us about your sister.
Cassie. I'm sorry, this is one of them. Her name is Cassidy. She's 6. She's nonverbal, but she's really learning to talk. She talks when she wants to. She likes to sing a lot. Like she sings her words. So like she'll sing Wheels on the Bus, she'll sing her ABCs. And if you wave at her, she'll wave. She has her ways of communicating, but not talking.
Mhm.
Um, and my poster, it means like in a world where you can be anything, you should always be kind because like everybody's different and not everybody's gonna accept that, but I feel like you should always be kind whether you accept it or not.
Mhm. Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
both
Keep
of
going.
both of my sisters have autism. The other one is 10 and she's 6. So it's kind of a lot when I have to take care of them, but I'm slowly learning how to deal with it. But Cassidy, she gets a lot of comments and looks when we're in public. Like, when she's like, sometimes she'll just lay on the floor. She'll lay on the floor in Walmart, and people will just stare at her. And we're just trying to get her up. Like, Cassidy, you got to get up. When she's upset, she yells 12 a lot, and it's just like a really repeated thing. And she she replays videos over and over again. It'll be like A B C D, replay A B C like for like 2 hours straight. And I remember another time this was like really upset me. I think maybe like last month, my dad and both my sisters were at the Lexus car dealership, and Cassidy was having a moment outside. She was just crying and screaming and everything. and a lady walked by, and I heard her say, "What's wrong with her? He needs to calm her down." So I'm really upset. Like, you don't know what she has going on. So then we go inside, and she's just staring at Cassidy. So I stand up for my sister because I don't appreciate that. You guys don't know what she has going on, and I feel like her autism makes her Cassidy and McKenna, their autism makes them such special kids, and they're so much different from everybody else in the best way possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is Kendall. Kendall is going to speak to us about her brother. And I want her to read what this says because I thought it was so awesome. So, Kendall, will you come off mute and say something about what you drew and say something about your brother, please?
So I did a bow and I did the puzzles for autism and I drew like the colors of the autism colors. And then I wrote, I would not change you for the world, but I would change the world for you. And I think this is a really important message because people don't understand autism and they'll just judge you when they don't know what's actually going on. And my brother like will be in public and people will say stuff and my family can't go see my concert because they're afraid that someone will say something about him being too loud or they're afraid that they'll get kicked out.
What's one of the favorite things about your brother? What do you think is so special about him and your relationship with him?
He always loves to hang around me and he'll always ask me for a hug and he just likes being in my room and he'll follow me around all the time.
And you let him follow you around, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to share before I go on?
Some of the positive experiences are that he's getting way better with talking than he used to.
Mm.
Like he won't say like full sentences. He'll say like two words, but it's better than like what he used to. And he's getting better with potty training too.
That's great. Congratulations to you and your family. And another one of our young people, this is Keziah's project, Respect, Equality, Support, Inclusion, Acceptance, and Love. Janaya, Just Let Me STEM. And what do you call that thing? This that they do? Dabbed up. What's that? Anyway, the bear is doing that.
The DAP.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert. The DAP. Okay. And then Amari, autism, different, not less. People with autism experience the world in unique ways. Respect and understanding matter. Accept, understand, include, creative, talented, focused, honest, unique, kind. And some data. And this is Imani. So Imani drew the picture that you see. And she asked her friend with autism what her favorite color was. And her friend said her favorite color was gray. And she thought that that was beautiful and that it was so calming until she thought that a lot more drawings should be in gray. So, and then she wrote some information about what she learned about autism. And John's mom teaches at NCCU in the Department of Public Health Education. And so it's hard to see all the way in the front of the room, but that's John's presentation to his mom's class about autism, and they all said that they wanted to participate by sharing the message and also creating some posters. And then on the right-hand side, this is the presentation that he made to his church youth fellowship group and the different kind of drawings that came from that experience. And so how you can get involved with T.R.Y and become a lifter. It's open to everyone. It's free. And so there's the information there. But every single one of our young people, and there's so many more, talked about what they could do in order to make sure that they were a kind peer and to be respectful and caring and protective of their peers with autism. So that is a youth presentation. Yay, everybody. So it's wonderful. Okay, so we're ready for our panel. And so Robert, if you could come on, I know it seems like you're in your car, which is okay with me, but just stay safe. I want,
Oh, I am.
these are the questions that I want to pose to each of the panelists. What has your family learned from raising or living with a child with autism? What do you wish others understood? What has helped your family cope and stay strong? And if you need me to repeat them one at a time, I can.
Okay. Is it me or I thought it was a panel?
Well, it's you, and then the others are
Okay.
going to answer that question.
Okay. What was the first question again?
What has your family learned from raising or living with a child with autism?
Um, it's kind of funny. I just left my last day of my intern with the Teach Autism program, and one of the things I talked to them about is we had to learn that we love our kid. It didn't matter if he had autism. It's just something that we're gonna have to overcome together. But because we loved him, instead of letting it tear us apart, it brought us closer together. My son also has twin brothers that'll be 16, and one of the more difficult things I had with them, because when he got diagnosed, they were only 7. So
Mhm.
trying to get them to understand he just thinks different.
Mhm.
He's still your brother. He still wants to play, but some things that kids think my boys used to say stuff like, Dad, he's doing that on purpose. And I'm like, that's impossible because he don't think like that.
Mhm.
So having to explain at such a young age what autism is, what it looks like, and how it's just he thinks different than you is kind of helped bond us together because they adore their little brother now. Matter of fact, he's getting ready to go to middle school.
Mhm.
And like the representative said, the kids at his middle school can be kind of rough. And they are already like, well, I bet not have to come up to that school because they already like, that's my brother. We can, it's the family thing, you know. I can
Mhm.
pick on him, but they can't.
Mhm.
So I think that's what kind of brought us together.
Thank you. And I think you've already mentioned what do you wish others understood? Because you said that you love him and that you didn't say you'll fight for him, but I think that
Oh yeah, it's no doubt. Uh, I know
Mhm.
that's one of my biggest fears is that sort of like Representative Hawkins was saying, with the times we're in today, if he has an encounter with a police officer
Mhm.
and he gets nervous and gets to flapping or he doesn't respond the way I really believe that I will be on the news. They'd be like, this man has lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
over my child. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think too, the I'm listening to the young ladies that were talking previous to me.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I hope, or maybe it's me, I tend to address things a little different. I play football. And one thing, we had a similar situation in Walmart where my son was having a problem, and I heard some little smart comments. And I looked the person right in the face and like, how do I control autism?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of like, oh, wait a minute. And what that incident made me understand is that once people know, they give you grace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The problem is we've lost a lot of empathy, and people think they know,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about uh, some of the organizations I heard you talking about previously, and even there's some that I thought I knew and I didn't know in Durham. I'm excited about that because it's about knowledge. We in the autistic community have to be more vocal, and what I mean by this is society is saying, oh, it's a a virus, or it's Tylenol, or all these things they're saying that is causing autism because the acceptance rate has increased. It When I first moved to Raleigh, it was 1 in 63 people had autism. Today it's 1 in 36.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's not spreading, it's just the recognition, the assessments have gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can identify it because we all knew people when I was growing up that we knew they were a little different. We didn't know why, couldn't put our finger on it, so they stuck them in a class that they probably weren't even appropriate for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now we can identify it and name it. So
Mm-hmm.
we should be just as bold. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is autism. This is what it looks like, and it looks different. I love that the representative said something me and my wife say all the time because she introduced me to Temple Grandin. Is that when you met one person with autism, you've met one
One
person,
person. Mm-hmm.
because it's a spectrum. It's
Yeah.
everything in between. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've had the privilege to teach. I've worked at different aspects of it this year. And one of the greatest things that blew my mind, even though I knew this, is I work with, they have a program called T-Step, which helps young people transition to an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my kids drive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They pull right up on Wake Tech campus, like, hey, Mr. Perkins, you driving? And
Mm-hmm.
like that shocked me first quarter, and then first semester, second semester, I'm just like used to it now. So
Mm-hmm.
the more we're exposed to autism, the more normal it becomes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Uh,
And I put a link to your videos in the first email that I sent, and I'll make sure that if people put their emails in the chat, I can send those out again. Um, Christy has her hand up, so Christy, go ahead. What is your question or comment?
I just wanted to say I agree with Mr. Perkins that all autism doesn't look the same. Because I have an autistic friend, and he's my age in eighth grade. And if, like, I know sometimes it's very visible, and then sometimes it's really hard to tell. Over the years being with Cassidy McKenna, Cassidy. Oh, I'm sorry. Over the years being with them, it's easier for me to like notice. So it just really doesn't look the same. Cassidy flaps her arms and yells. Sometimes autistic people can be very quiet, and
mhm.
like you can't just look at somebody and say, "Oh yeah, they have autism," but like sometimes it can really show. So it's not always the same.
Mhm. Thank you. I
You're ab-
appreciate your saying that. Hmm.
yeah, you're absolutely right. We had an incident at a park one time that Raiden was just playing, and he loves little kids. So he gets around little kids, and when he gets excited, he jumps up and down, and just it seems like he's agitated, but he's happy. He's excited. And I seen an adult staring at him with this little kid, and I said, "Hey, he's just excited. He likes little kids. He has autism." And she looked at me and says, "Really? He doesn't look like he has autism."
Oh, wow.
And that opened my eyes to a lot of things too. So yes, you're absolutely right, Christy. You can't tell by looking,
Mm-hmm.
and I think our awareness and understanding that it's really just a social. They don't pick up on social cues like neurotypical.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm.
And once you understand that, you'll find out they're some of the most loving, funny. My son was nonverbal till about mm, 5 or 6, and now he's speaking better, and he has a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have never thought that when he first got diagnosed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
My little sister McKenna, she's 10, and we found out she had autism in mommy. We found out in like fourth grade, right? Third or fourth. In second grade, we found out Cassie. We found out she had autism, and from the day she was born to the day I found out she had autism, I would have never expected that. She was always quiet. She was always in her corner on her iPad, but I just thought she was really quiet. I had no idea it was autism. And
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
so she walks around with her phone in her hand all the time. And even at church, she'll just be sitting there. She'll sometimes listen, but be on the phone. But it's just how she is. It's her nature. And people look at her like, you need to get your kid to pay attention. Sometimes you need to mind your business because that's just what she likes to do. And you try dealing with two autistic kids for a day and tell me how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Christy. So, Crystal, I'm coming to you next with the same questions. What has your family learned from raising or living with with a child with autism? What do you wish others understood? And what has helped your family cope and stay strong? And then, after you're finished with those questions, we're so proud of the work you've put into sharing your story, and we want everyone to know about your book. So please first answer those questions, and then you have a few minutes to talk about your book as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Boone. First of all, I
Mhm.
just want to say this is a beautiful event, and I can relate to something that pretty much everybody said. And so I'm going to start with answering the first question, what our family learned. We learned that we can do hard things. We're learning hard things every single day,
Mhm.
including today at school. So for those of you who don't know, my son, his name is Christian. He got diagnosed with autism at 2 years old, and that's Kendall's brother. He actually goes to the same school that I work at. So that's hard right there, just being in the same building with your child. And so we had class pictures, and we take the class pictures outside in the front of the school. And so that's where carpool goes on. And he kept running into like the street. And so he did that a couple of times, and he wasn't able to take the class picture. So that's, once you figure out one problem, it seems like you have something else that you have to figure out. So that's one thing. And then just things don't always have to be perfect. Last year, I couldn't even do homework with Christian. This year, if he just has Play-Doh and he squeezes it, or if he has like one puzzle piece, I can get him to do his work. And a lot of people will think, he's distracted. He's still doing the work. It's just learning looks a little different. And I don't care long as he does what he's supposed to do. And lastly, patience. A lot of patience. We've had to learn that over the years with Christian. And so like Kendall said, he says only, like she said, like two words, and sometimes he gets upset and we have no idea why he's upset. So that's the answer to the first question. And then the second question is, what do I wish others understood? Just not to judge what you don't understand. I have some family members, some friends, strangers, just people, why do you do this? Or I pretty much said the other day, if you still question how I move with my autistic child, then I know that you didn't read my book.
mm,
If I don't want to go to a certain event because I'm not treated fairly and you're asking me why didn't I go, I'm just telling you like certain people are mean to you, just like Kendall said, the chorus concert.
mm,
We're not going. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go to her last chorus concert because people are so mean. And I do understand, that Christian is very loud, but I don't know what to do or what the magic trick is to help him be quiet because we have social stories about using an inside voice. I've tried noise cancellation headphones. I mean, every resource, you name it, we've tried it. And so just people having things to say. And like Christiana said, if you have two autistic kids, let me see how you do it. That was perfect. I loved all of the things that everybody was saying because if you don't walk through that person's shoes, you don't understand what it's like.
mm,
And so the last question is what has helped your family cope and to stay strong? Prayer, because I had just had to learn, to stop and pray right then and there. And so, like, even with the situation at school today, I don't know what to do. And I don't know if he's going to run out of his classroom tomorrow, but I just prayed and just ask the Lord to help with the situation and
mm,
then just celebrate the small wins. Something that is small to a parent that doesn't have a child with special needs is so big in the autism
mm,
community.
mm,
So, like,
mm,
even if like Christian, he ate some chicken yesterday, and I called my husband. I said we did not go to McDonald's today. Like,
mm,
I cooked some chicken, and he ate the chicken. He
mm,
ate potatoes. He ate goldfish, and we go to McDonald's every single day.
mm,
So something small like that, that's a big win that he tried something new.
mm,
And a
mm,
lot of people take that for granted. And so other things that have helped are support groups, like having events like this where you're surrounded by people that actually understand what you're going through. And I
mm,
have so many friends, but I don't have the same amount of friends that have children that have autism. So
mm,
I can tell you about my situation, but it's on a whole nother different level if you're living it
mm,
every
mm,
single day.
mm,
So
mm,
like trivia, me, trivia, George, and Crystal, like all of us are in our mom support group. But I talk to Trivia and George. We talk on the phone at least like 3 or 4 times a
mm,
week because we understand what each other is going through.
mm,
So the answer those three questions.
mm,
And then I'm going to talk to you about the books. So here is both the books. I'll talk very briefly about I Can Do All Things. And so I told you guys that one of the lessons that I learned is that I can do hard things. So I have been through so many things. Like I've lost my mom. I had a health scare where I thought that I might have breast cancer. That was very, very difficult. And then just trying to be a mom without my mom, that was so hard. And I kept saying in my head, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. But then I had to realize where my help came from. And so that's where I came up with the title of this book, I Can Do All Things Through Christ That Strengthens Me. And so I have an introduction of the book, and it talks about how Christian was diagnosed with autism and how we were able to get him the help that he needed. And then I documented 30 days of everything that we did, whether it was the good, the bad, the ugly. And, that could be like if we went to speech therapy, like OT, if we went to church, um, if we went to the park. if he laid out on the at the grocery store, all of that is in here and how we handled it. So it's different strategies that we talked about after, whatever it was. And then I did what we call a strategy recap. So that's very, very important. And it breaks it down into details of things that I've used in my classroom because I'm a kindergarten teacher. And so things that I've learned from being in the classroom and also just being an autism mom. So it's a strategy recap. And then it also has a message for moms. So like Trivia and Crystal, they put a paragraph of some encouragement if a mom found out that their child first had autism. So that's in here as well. But sometimes people hear like negative things. This book is to inspire you because, I wanted to give you hope that you can do all things as long as you're consistent. And so I pretty much wrote what I needed when I found out that my child had autism, and I started a support group of moms of children with special needs because I know Representative Hawkins, he was talking about the Autism Society, and the Autism Society is great, but they were having meetings on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock, and I'm at school. And so I attended one meeting and could never attend another meeting. And so I had to start a group that was available when I could meet so that we can come together and support each other.
Mhm. Wonderful.
And so I'll tell you real quick about this second book. It's called Faith Over Fear. And so you always have to be motivated and you always have to be encouraged. And so Faith Over Fear has 100 quotes inside of it to inspire you. So it has like spiritual, it has quotes for resilience, for self-care, parents, autism parents. And so it basically teaches you how to make a motivational board and just write down quotes so that you're constantly looking at something positive throughout the day. And yeah, so you got to take care
Yeah.
of yourself and stay encouraged. And I
Thank
was sending a
you.
lot of messages out
Mhm.
to people, sending them motivational messages every single day. And I just said, you know what? I need to write my own. And that's what I did.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And next we'll hear from Trivia to answer the same questions whenever you're ready. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Okay, so the questions are, what has your family learned from raising or living with a child with autism? What do you wish others understood? And what has helped your family cope and stay strong? And then I want you to tell me about this sign language where you were teaching children about sign language. So please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Boone. So for the first question, what my family has learned, it's um, just knowing, like others have said before, it really takes a village to um raise children. Like, parenting is challenging itself, but being a special needs parent is a whole nother level.
Hmm.
And we have learned like who's in our corner.
Hmm.
Because it's we've had some challenges. Like, you find out who your true family members are when you have a special needs parent. Because I know, we before we found out our children had autism, we would get invited to like family functions and family events, and since the family knows about our children have autism, like it, it things changed. We don't get invited.
Mm.
We don't go anywhere. I mean, yeah, we don't go anywhere. So now, and so it's kind of hurtful because family's supposed to be family. Family's everything, and that's just not the case. And so I know with us, we have we the church that we attend now, we consider them to be family because they really embraced us Like I mean, from the day we joined, like they just really embraced our kids, embraced our family, embraced my girls, and because I know at our former church, we got the looks, we got the stares, the comments. I specifically remember one service we were sitting, services going on, and Cassie got loud, and the older lady in front of us, she turned around, she said, shh. She was shushing the Catholic for Catholic to be quiet, but the church knew we church knew that she had autism, but of course everybody doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And shushing her makes it worse. You can't silence
Or
her.
is that Christy
You
talking?
cannot. You cannot make Cassie be
This my
quiet.
turn. This is my turn to talk.
She said she gonna tell she gonna tell you part too.
And so the reason why I know, like, our church family, we like, when I say that they have like really embraced us, like just recently, it was during church service, during praise and worship. So Cassidy is an eloper. She elopes. And so we were sitting there during praise and worship, and and she took off running. And I tried to chase after her. I couldn't catch up with her. Y'all, she ran across the pulpit. You can see it on the video. They're singing. She running across the pulpit. And so but my church, they didn't get upset about it. They didn't make a big scene about it. Because they knew. And they
Mm-hmm.
know, and so that makes a difference. That's just something we've definitely learned. It's just knowing who is in your corner, who is going to support you and embrace your
Mm-hmm.
children.
Yeah.
What's the second question? She done took my
What has helped? Well, you can do this one. What has helped your family cope and stay strong?
Like Crystal said, prayer. Like that we like I said, we like our circle of support is really small, and so prayer has really helped us do a lot of this. Me and my husband, we work together as well as a team to kind of navigate through this journey, because it's
Mm-hmm.
really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And then even just like the support of my friends, like Crystal, and she's definitely been one that motivated, me. She said she's a motivational quote every day, and it's like those things like really keep me going.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think that's something I thought myself, lost my train of thought. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so there's just those things have kept us going, and then like having the support. So one thing I would like to know, having more support with is, so with autism, I want to say it's 4 times more, but four times. I think boys are like 4 times. I can't remember it's the statistics. So it's most predominantly in boys. When boys are diagnosed with autism, but I had 2 girls, and so I don't find many um, other moms who have girls with autism. And so, of course, if anybody has any resources, I would like to connect with other moms who have girls with autism, because raising girls and raising boys are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be something I would try to, look for. But what was the other question?
Yeah. Well, we can, as a community here, an extended family here, we can look into those things for you in terms of a women's group or um, moms with daughters.
Your daughters, yeah.
Yeah. hmm But the other thing was, I want to know about this sign
Oh,
language
yeah.
and why did you decide to do that?
So reason why for one, Crystal, she invited me to her class. That's how it all started. She invited me to her class because this month is Autism Awareness Month, and so by some kids being nonverbal, autism is a great not autism sign language is a great way to communicate. And
Mm,
so that's something I've even done with my daughter Cassidy. We have taught her sign language where she knows how to, because she's nonverbal, she knows how to communicate with us in signs. She knows how to say more in sign language. She knows how to say eat,
mm,
wait. We tell her to wait, sit. There's a list of signs that she knows, and so um, and that's also my profession. I am a teacher. I work in non-public schools, and I'm a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I work with students who are deaf and hard of hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know in the my husband knows it. And so I know in the upcoming week I do plan to start teaching sign language classes. I do want to do it probably be virtual. So I would definitely share information for anybody who wants to
Hmm.
Please
Please.
join and
do.
spread the word. And I want to teach sign language because especially for other moms who have children who are nonverbal. I
Mm-hmm.
want them to know that this is a great way to communicate because my daughter, she knows sign language, but she also has an AAC device.
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
has a tablet where she uses that to communicate. So with her, she has multiple ways she can communicate with us. She has sign language, she has a device. Even though her language is slowly coming and surely, it's coming along slowly and surely. We want to make sure she has multiple ways to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And I taught our children sign language because I refuse to yell at them in public. And it's so funny because, of course, they're grown, they're way grown. And so the first thing that I would do is snap my finger. And no matter how far away I was, they could hear my, my finger snap. And then they look, and then I, say whatever I had to do in sign language. Well, so that sign language works. But thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much, everyone. And so, lastly, before we open it up for any other questions, I would like Latoya Dowdy to talk about coping together and how coping together might be a benefit to all of us here in this space. So, Latoya.
Hi everyone, I'm Latoria. This has been a great talking about how our kids cope and how we cope. Learning how to cope with kids that have autism. My husband, his grandson, he is autistic, and just learning how to, just learning how you handle your day to day life, like patience. I can say you gotta have patience. But so I just want to talk about coping together, and it ties a big part in the whole in as family. Again, coping together comes where we as a family get to know our kids, get an understanding, and again with like autism kids, you learning together. So I know that sometimes you might have your days, challenging days, but with coping together, it just teaches you how to be patient as a family, work on things, come together, and try to overcome anything that may not work yesterday, may work today, um, and just doing things as family. Also, just making sure that we can, just let everything out, just with coping together as families. I have like my meetings with the families and we talk about things about our day. How can we have a better day? How can we do things different with our family? And I do know with autistic kids, having kids, everything's different. Every child's different. You like your kids that you don't know. You never, some are nonverbal, some are verbal. And just trying to work together. I would love to like set up a meeting with us and just do a coping session, just how we do every day as moms.
Mhm.
And I seen the little chats about the dads, but let's just do it as moms. And so I would love to like set up a meeting with coping together with your moms and the kids, and just get a better understanding how we do daily together, and then just come up with like little strategies every week that we can work on. What did we work on this week with our kids? Do we take them to the park? Do things, just go over things that we can do weekly and daily with our kids. It just I would love to do that. So
Mhm.
coping together is we all cope. We all go through things. Nobody family is perfect. Nobody. So we gotta just try to learn and grow and overcome things and try to set things where we do different. So
Mhm.
that's a little about coping together, just trying to overcome things and build a strong foundation. Like you said, that post somebody put up here, family is not blood, but those who accept and respect you. And
Mhm.
sometimes your community can be your biggest support, and and your respect. So again, if you ladies, we can set up something, coping together. I would love to sit and talk, and we can get to know each family and how we cope daily. We can do one call a week or once a month or however you ladies want to do it. Because I would love, and in sign language, I love that you do sign language. Like I used to sit, I used to sit and read the dictionary of how to learn my name, like just to sit and read books. My mom was like, no TV time. So I would just we gotta learn. So I know my name in sign language, and I think it's helpful because if you meet a child that is nonverbal, it helps. But again, ladies, I would love for you guys. We can set up something and we can get to know and cope together and figure out how different strategies, how each parent do different things. I know it's challenging.
Yeah,
But again,
thank you so much. So Coping Together is a program that actually began in Africa and Kenya, and then it was brought to the United States and given to T.R.Y, given to me. And then the facilitators, Latoya is one, to translate it, not verbally translate, but to make it make sense to the way things are done in the United States. But you all don't have blended families in terms of the way people talk about blended families, but the way that your families are blended is because you have children who have autism and you have children that don't. And you two, Robert, I don't know you as well, but from your videos, I can tell a little bit about this, that you're giving attention to the children that you have that are not autistic, but how else can they be supported in the whole family structure? And that's the difference in Coping Together, because it will it will help ease the stress of your children that don't have autism while supporting you and and your stress levels with your children that do have autism. So that's the other piece of this, and why it would be wonderful to have a session or two with Latoya, who is fabulous, and she can cook too. Anyway, I know this is not about cooking,
I'm
but
in
she
here
can
making
cook.
egg rolls now. I'm making shrimp. I made shrimp and lobster egg rolls and some steak egg rolls. So I'm in here making food now. It's not a lot, just something small. But yes, I love to cook. So even if we can do a session, guys, I cook for us. Don't worry.
Oh
The
my
kids gonna
goodness.
eat. You ain't gonna have to go to McDonald's.
Oh
Hilarious.
my goodness. Okay. So I'll open it up. We're a little bit over time, but I'll open it up if anyone has questions, a couple of questions that we have time to answer. So if you have a question for any of our panelists, please come off mute and ask your question at this time.
This Latoria. So my question is, for each family, how do you plan your day? Do you plan your day each day based off of like waking up, going to sleep? Are your kids on a set time?
They used to be,
Okay.
and then they became teenagers. So that's a whole different thing. And the thing is about, like I said, I have twin boys that are be 16 in July. What I've noticed is their brother is a visual learner. So even when they were younger, I would encourage them, be careful what they do because he's watching. So he's watching. So if they up late, he wants to stay up late.
Mm,
If they're on video games, he
mm,
wants to be on video games.
mhm,
So it's understanding, helping them to understand. And I told them, I said it's not fair. I said, but you got some responsibilities that you shouldn't have at this age. So
mm,
what I try to do best also to help them feel a part of the situation is we try to have I and my wife try to individually do things with them without the other twin or my son with autism. So they each get like a date night or date day or whatever, or date hours, whatever we can give them. But also we have like we still play board games. So we get together and do board games with them. And Raiden might be around, but he's really not interested. So he might be playing his iPad while we're playing the board games. But we're all in the room together to try to build, that togetherness.
I like that. That still just having that family bonding.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing and everybody's in one same room. So that's awesome.
And my wife's thing is she loves movies. So them jokers watch movies. I can't watch no movies with my twins because they just be talking through the whole thing. It drives me crazy. And I can't find a plot line and nothing. But they do movies together. They do movies, popcorn, and bake cookies together.
Bake cookies.
Oh, they love cookies. That started during COVID. I was running back and forth to Walmart with my mask, buying just batches of the pre-cut cookies because they would make them things and watch movies all day. It was crazy.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And how is it when you take your kids to the doctor? Well, your kids are older now, but as having younger kids with autistic, what type do you take them to different types of doctors, or do you take them to the same doctors, like for like you say, like for preventive care? Is it a special type of doctor, or you took your kids to, or you take your kids to, or do you still take them to like a regular primary care?
We did. Like they go to the same dentist. Now, the dentist was a whole different monster.
Yeah.
My son with autism hated the dentist. I mean, you could see him physically get nervous once he saw the building. And for like probably 3 years, I told him every kid in the waiting room is never going to go to the dentist the way he was screaming. I mean, there was times I had to physically hold him down just so they could, examine his teeth. But I'm happy to say after years of storytellings and walking him through, and even at one point I had to take him to a side door. I talked to them and they were acceptable to him going to a side door instead of the main door like everybody else. Now he goes back by himself. He looked
Wow.
at me and the nurse was like, well, last time he's here with his mom, we took him back by his own. He looked at me, I'm like, you good? He was like, shook his head yes, and he went back there, did the whole thing. I sat in the waiting room and I wasn't supposed to, but I got that boy ice cream, any kind of candy he wanted. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. You can get whatever you want. But it like everybody's saying, it's patience, it's time, and uh, I think the lady's name was Crystal with the book on faith. I love that because you got to have faith. I think here's a theory I have, and it's probably why people push me to get my PhD so I can do some research on it. But I think our expectations affect the child more than the child affects us. See, if you think your child can't do these things, I just had a session with a young man. He's 22. He's taller than me, and I'm 6'3". Walks on his tiptoes. He can put together a 500-piece puzzle. I couldn't, but he can't do anything without a parent prompting him or an adult prompting him. So he was at this week-long training where we were trying to teach him independence. And it got to the point where he was getting so upset because nobody was telling him what to do. What we had to figure out a middle ground, like, okay, let's point him back to his workstation and show him his list instead of saying, hey, now do this, now do that. That's how he lives his life. And we saw him getting a little better towards the end when he was doing things on it. You saw this big smile on his face, and he was nonverbal. Saw this big smile on his face. But I think his parents never got the concept that he was going to be independent. So the way they taught him stuff, he became dependent. And I was doing it. My wife had to get on me. She's like, Robert, that boy can get dressed by himself. And I justify saying, well, I'm out the house a lot and I'm working and I'm going to school and I'm doing it. I just want to spend my time with him. And one day after that meeting, I was like, yeah, if he can get dressed, go on get dressed, boy. You can go and get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
And now I do sometimes have to prep like his toothbrush and his mouthwash and say, it's in there, go on do it. And then check behind him,
Mm-hmm.
make sure it's done. But he can do them things on his own because I think for 2.5 years we didn't know he had autism, so we raised him just like the twins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that the expectation was like, oh, you just so we treated him that way. Like when he first went to teach, they were amazed at some of the things he could do
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, well, I didn't know there was no limit on it. So, we just told him, go get your shoes. He went and put his shoes on
Mm-hmm.
without the pet cards or some things like that. So I think too, our faith and that um here's my philosophy. And um I prepare for the worst, but I pray for the best. So just in case, like the representative saying, we worry about the future. Is he gonna date? Is he gonna be independent? Can he hold down a job? I'm preparing in case he can't. But I'm doing things, praying and putting my faith with my works that he will be able to do that. So I'm expecting him to be able to work and live on his own. But if he can't, we got to fall back,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how I approach it. And I think my wife is approaching it that way too.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Excellent. Well, this has been so wonderful, and the video is going to be available, and folks can um, have access to it. It's so important. This conversation has been so important. I really appreciate everyone's participation, and I know that Kendall and Christy have to get ready for school tomorrow, so I am not going to keep you any longer because I know you have a bedtime. But thank you, everyone, so much. And I'll make sure that you have a link to to Robert's videos and to Crystal's books and to Trivia's sign language and to Coping Together and my books too. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. This has been awesome. Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Kendall and Christy.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night,
Good night.
you.
everyone.
Okay, good night.